Are you in a position where you are finding yourself in uncharted territories where you're behind on your mortgage payment, or you might be in a situation where you've come to sort of close to the end of the amount of savings that you have to make certain that you have money in the bank? You're worried that your family is not going to be able to stay in their home and that you might be homeless. Uh, you're in a situation where you feel embarrassed because you've never felt that this would be something you would experience. Let me share with you. I've been there. I'm called Krista. I'm a real estate broker here on the California Central Coast, primarily in the Santa Maria Valley, working in Santa Barbara, San Luis counties. And I just want to let you know that I believe that I ended up getting a Harvard education here in little Santa Maria. And I don't mean that sort of tongue-in-cheek, but just to let you know that I've experienced a lot of what you might potentially be going through, and then maybe even more so. So I'm going to briefly share my story with you and see if any of this resonates with you. And then I'm going to also tell you that I have pulled myself out of it, pulled myself through it, learned a heck of a lot that will be able to potentially give you some guidance and some thoughts and some pointers. Okay. So I got a divorce, and at the time, not a big deal. It was one of those where it was amicable, thankful. I'm very fortunate that way. Thankfully, it was amicable. But I had a 10-year-old son, 2 dogs, and I was in a position where financially I was comfortable and purchased a home and was able to move forward with that process. But then life kind of threw a curveball. And what ended up happening is that I was in real estate. Well, of course, that's even worse because of what I do, of all the shame and the guilt and what I felt would be judgment from peers. But the thing was is that the real estate market took a dive. I think all of you have sort of heard about the mortgage meltdown and all of the different things that happened. Well, I actually started that process even before that because I stopped working with people when I saw them doing those loans that I was really concerned about. Those loans that were put in place, I really felt were going to create a problem. And you know what? I was right, and it did. I had the same gut feeling about it when they started referencing the forbearances that happened in 2020. Same reaction, knowing that this potentially is going to create a lot of problems for a lot of families. And I am unfortunately finding that my gut reaction was correct. And sadly, maybe you might be one of these families that were impacted or are being impacted from it. So I figured, you know what? I might as well share my story. So I had this house, I had a child, I had 2 dogs, and I had no job. So I lived off of my savings and everything. And I was hugely embarrassed because of the fact, again, as I mentioned, I was in real estate. I didn't want to tell anybody that I was impacted by this. I also started having situations where I was losing money and not able to pay the mortgage that I had. And so thankfully it was a position where I had talked to the bank and they were able to work with me slightly, but at the same time it did impact my credit. And then the thing is that I also was like, okay, what am I going to do for work? Because the type of work that I did, really there was no work to happen at that time. So started a company, and long story short, it didn't work that way either too. So it's what I call a perfect storm, and I have always worked in my whole entire life. If you talk to anybody, they will say that I know how to work, and I do. The problem is that no matter how much I worked or how hard I worked, it was never enough. So long story short is that I ended up finally biting the bullet and deciding, you know what, I've got to sell the house. Well, thankfully, when I sold the house, I was in a position to where I had profit from it. And so thankfully I was able to take that profit and be in a position to put myself and my son into a smaller home, a small condo. But at least we had a roof over our head. The reason I'm mentioning this is because I don't know where you're at in this journey, but if you're finding that you are about done with your savings, if you're finding that you're behind on your payments, if you're finding that you are really uncertain about where you're going to take you and your family, I want to assure you that I've done this and I know how to do it and I can help you with it. So first thing, anything and everything we talk about is absolutely 100% free and confidential, okay? If you would love to have a conversation, or not if you would love, if you would like to have a conversation, I would love to be able to give you some of my gates of wisdom. I always say I got a Harvard education here in the Central Coast, little old Santa Maria, just because of the fact that it was so expensive, some of the things I did, and some of the things that I actually did to, how do I say it, salvage my pride and not ask for help and not let anybody know that I was in this sinking ship. Like I said, it was a perfect storm. So long story short is that I did find a place to move into. My son and my 2 dogs and I got into this smaller place, and then I started the rebuilding process. And through that process of the rebuilding process, I can tell you right now that not only did I get through it, but I also got through it smarter and stronger. And now I believe that it's my responsibility to actually share tips, share and support people that are going through this as well, share how to minimize some of the impacts, and also educate on some of the impacts that you could be facing. So again, I'm called Krista, call with a C, Krista with a K. I'm the CEO of OIC Real Estate Services, and give me a call, seriously, or text me, or email me, or instant messenger me. Let's start a conversation, confidential, and again, absolutely no obligation, and let's see what we can do to give you some tools and resources to hopefully stay in your home. That's the key thing. Let's see if there's ways I can offer you suggestions to stay in your home. And then if it turns out that there are reasons that it's better for you not to stay in your home, let's capitalize on this hot market to get you as friggin' maximum amount of money that we possibly can to put the money back into your savings account so that you actually have something to show for this, rather than walking away without any money, and or even worse, potentially having the bank take the house back. The other thing too also is that just know that we have a listing service and system where if you put your house on the market and you don't find a replacement home, if you feel it's in your family's best interest to not sell the home, you absolutely can stop. You do not have to sell your home. No cans, no dues, no cost, no obligation. I have that in place for you. So again, we can discuss what's important to you. We can navigate what's important to you, and just understand that I've been there. Maybe not exactly where you're at, but I'm going to tell you, I've been through a lot of life experiences, and I will absolutely be treating you with dignity, with confidentiality, and I will be a cheerleader because that is my natural inclination. So again, give me a call. Call Krista, OIC Real Estate Services. Let's start a dialogue. Doesn't have to happen right now. It can happen when or if you're ever ready, but just know you've got somebody here that's a resource. As always, have a blessed day. Bye.